Hello and welcome to another episode of No Brains Just Ball. My name's Jake and with me again I have Dem, Nick and Anthony. Today we're going to be talking about the Eastern Conference and just go through what they've been doing, just like we did for the West in our last podcast. So we're going to start off with the Atlantic Division. So we're going to get straight into it and we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics.
Yep. So Boston Celtics finished first in the Eastern Conference last season, and I think it's going to be the same this season. They've improved having Hayward on the team to start with, and Thomas, Hayward. They lost Avery Bradley, but I don't think it's that big of a deal when you've still got some good defenders in Crowder, Smart.
So they lost some good defenders in Avery Bradley, however. With Jay Crowder still there, you reckon they'll still be strong defensively?
I think so, and he'll probably start small forward. I mean, they've got a lot of versatile players who can play different positions, and I guess you'd probably have Smart playing on the bench. As I know Jake was discussing earlier today, have Smart on the bench so he can lead the second unit. They brought in Marcus Morris as well from Detroit, who I guess is a solid
pickup for
stay at power
starting
forward.
role, yeah.
Aaron Baines as well.
Yeah, that was a bizarre deal.
It was surprising
yeah,
to pick that.
Very
Yeah,
surprised Aaron Baines went there, but it's exciting to see another Aussie potentially deep in the playoffs once again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you've got Jason Tatum, who's obviously huge talent, can play small forward, maybe play some minutes.
my
at
pick
power
for the
forward as well.
Rookie of the Year this year, I
Yeah,
reckon. That's
So hopefully get some good minutes. And I reckon,
Lonzo's already an MVP, mate, so the Jets.
That is true.
I didn't realise LeVar Ball was on the podcast.
but yeah, so Avery Bradley, I guess last year was underrated his ability with points. 16 points, was shooting well from three, was rebounding really well. Like his rebounding numbers went through the roof. But I think they've got enough to cover him. And Hayward's just he's a brilliant addition to them.
Would you say that you're talking up Avery Bradley because you had him in your fantasy team?
Absolutely, and it was a great pick. But that's beside the point. Right?
Should have traded him for Oladipo.
We all know how he went.
But so I think Boston, especially, I know the Cavs will be spoken about later, but I think Boston right now looks like they'll probably be the best team.
With their big three, Thomas, Hayward
and Crowder. Oh, right.
Do you think the unity problems at the Cavs now with Kyrie
Yeah.
potentially going might have that sort of influence?
I think so. I think that, the whole Kyrie situation is just going to hurt them fully. So I think, yes, Boston first for me, and I reckon they had 53 wins last year.
Yeah.
Maybe up to 55 or something. It's not going to be like a landslide, so...
They will have a lot of games in the East, though, against weak opposition, so
Yeah.
there is really an opportunity to get up to that 60 that sort of Atlanta had a couple of years ago.
Potentially, that's possible, but I guess one of their big rivals will be Toronto. I mean, they'll be up there. What do you reckon, Nick?
I think they'll be doing okay. They haven't had enough in the off-season, though, so I think that's a problem. CJ Miles helps. Lowry, who was looking at going for a while, does that throw a bit of caution to the wind for DeRozan, and does it cause a bit of friction between the teams?
Yeah.
Maybe not, but...
Lowry is also older than what you think. I think people tend to forget he's almost 32 now.
Yeah, everyone thinks he's
everyone kind of thinks he's around that 26, 27 prime.
He's obviously past his best. Like, he's not.
Yeah,
He still put up some good numbers.
He'll put up good numbers, shoot a few threes.
I think they're moving DeMar Carroll might actually be a bit of addition by subtraction. I think maybe getting him out of the rotation might actually help them, even though he adds, quite a lot defensively and can shoot decently from three. It'll be interesting to see how they go forward without DeMar Carroll.
Lowry needs to stay injury-free. That's
Yeah.
something that's a key here, and I don't think they're going to go too far in the East anyway. There's not...
I see them about where were they
I don't
last
think
year?
51 wins is third.
Yeah, I don't see them getting to 50 this year. I don't reckon.
Depends how good CJ Miles is. If
Yeah,
CJ
but
Miles can step up, but there's not much behind him.
And if Lowry doesn't get injured,
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean, you're up against the Celtics and the Wizards and
That depth's an issue.
and when
Bucks.
that's what I was about to mention. If you look at their second unit doesn't offer too much.
They're very reliant on DeRozan and his mid-range, which he's very good at, and he's very good at getting to the line, but can it get you a lot of wins consistently? And
They tend to do what the Washington Wizards do. They play Lowry, then DeRozan goes off, and then they switch, and then they switch again. So there's always one of them on the court. So it's kind of like what the Wizards do with Beal and Wall. But
Well, there's no backup
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
They have to do that.
Yeah,
They've
exactly.
got no choice. DeRozan needs to be playing 40 minutes a game, and so does Lowry, and Larry's body's not going to hold up. And
Van Vliet.
yeah, there's Delon Wright. Don't know who he is either. So
Well, yeah, he's been one of those summer league sort of players in the past that have a lot of attributes, offensively and athletically, but just never seem to make the jump. So it'll be interesting to see how he might be able to go. But you have a look at the semis last year when they got swept easily by the Cavs, and it's really hard to see their upside being much more than that this year.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I don't.
thankfully for these guys, their second unit looks almost as good as the Knicks' first team.
Well, with Phil Jackson gone, it's only a positive for the Knicks, really. They'll get away finally from that triangle, and Jeff Horniak will be able to coach the way he wants to. Now, the big story really is Melo, isn't it? 22 points a game last year, and, it doesn't look like he'll be there at the start of the season. I think it looks like he'll go to...
So many different teams, though. Like,
Yeah.
I think the Rockets are the key one.
Is
Right
it-
now.
Yeah, Rockets
I read today OKC.
yeah, so did I actually. I saw that. OKC
Yeah,
and
and
the
I
Knicks
crossed them up and said that's just lies. Because
Yeah.
no one was going to OKC.
Well, it'd be very difficult
Except for
for...
Paul George, obviously.
Who's been loaned there is going back to the Lakers.
It'll be very difficult for OKC to get the deal done where, if Houston offer a first-round pick and, if Ryan Anderson does go in the move and they're able to maybe add something else to that trade piece, you'd think the Knicks, as Melo's contract comes down and his age goes up, might be more willing to take that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Derrick Rose is now left, so now they're going to have to
That was
find...
today, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone to the Cavs on a minimum deal, pretty much, which is, a surprise, really. But it looks like he's really going to play where he wants to play and go for wins rather than money, which you can't hold against anyone in this lifetime, after especially his max contract that he last made.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But really, going forward for the Knicks, it's all about one man, KP, Porzingis. Now, the guy can do it all. And they really just need to create a system that suits KP.
Yeah,
And
they got to play around him.
yeah, and now with Phil Jackson gone, I think that was the last shenanigans that the owner James Dolan was going to tolerate when it looked like KP was going to try and walk. But they really don't have much going through their team at the moment. They signed back Ron Baker, who looks like he might play a bit of...
Starting.
Yeah.
They're looking at giving him a starting role.
Now, Frank from Strasbourg, I think everyone was a bit surprised when he went pick 8 over Dennis Smith Jr., and it doesn't look like he's going to be ready to go day one. So, he's going to be playing backup point guard minutes. Will that be one of the biggest regrets the Knicks have going forward? It'll be interesting to see.
It could turn
Because
out
the
better
way
than-
Smith Jr. was playing during
Yeah.
the Summer League,
It could still turn out better than Smith.
he could.
Yeah, he
but
could.
The way they've started.
We couldn't imagine really anyone predicting them for more than 25 wins. You'd say for them to get 30 wins if Melo does leave, KP would have to play.
I'd almost go as far as saying they'd finish below the Nets and the 76ers.
Porzingis would have to play all-star level, I think, if Melo
He would
goes.
have to play off the charts.
Does KP ask to leave?
Not now, I don't think. Not now with Phil Jackson going. It looks like,
He's the franchise.
yep, he is the franchise going forward. He's said some pretty positive things about staying in New York over the last 24 hours, so I imagine that would be the case. Now, a team that has gone through those different sort of strokes.
Bad times.
Yeah, bad times, but that was definitely a system progress with the 76ers rather than the Knicks, is just chaos, I think, anarchy. And it looks like the 76ers are finally about to burst out.
Yeah, well, they finished off this year at 28 and 54, so that's a plus 18 on last year because they were 10 and 72 on last year. So you can see, like, that was the biggest improvement over this season by any team. Plus 18. I mean, it's hard to beat that really because not many teams only win 10 games a season. They finished 4th in the Atlantic Division. I reckon this year they'll push past New York, as we just discussed. I was thinking about this before, but what do you guys think about... do you reckon the 76ers are playoff bound this year?
I think if Embiid stays healthy, I think there's no reason why they can't.
Playing
Yeah.
full season or
Yeah,
talking
go ahead.
65 games
Well,
plus?
how many games did he play last year? He missed...
He played 31 games, and
Yeah.
I reckon if he played
They probably would have made
10
the playoffs
more,
last
he probably would have won Rookie of the Year as well. Now,
Yeah.
if you play at least half a year, you win. You probably would have won. He probably would have won that.
Their biggest weakness probably last year was probably shooting as well, and now JJ Redick a bloke that can come in and shoot 40% from three straight
Well,
away.
yeah, I imagine he'll come. One of the reasons he came was because he was promised a starting role. So
Yep.
I imagine he'll start at the shooting guard. I would have Markel Fultz straight to the point guard position. I'd have Simmons at small forward.
Yep.
And Dario Saric as well at the power forward with Embiid in the centre. They haven't got a bad second unit with McConnell and Stauskas leading the backcourt, with also Okafor as well playing centre, and then another signing, Amir Johnson, who came over from Boston.
I think people kind
on
of
a 1 year deal.
Yeah, people kind of tend to forget about Okafor because, about 3 or 4 months before his draft, he was rated as good, if not a little bit better than Karl Anthony Towns. And then draft day, he slips to 3, and now there's question marks over his footwork, his defending, his pace. So it's funny how things have worked out for him.
Yeah.
But, it's not a bad bench, really, if you look at it.
And it's got Covington as well. He'll definitely get a lot of minutes as well. And I think if you look at, who's left the Eastern Conference, and the quality of the teams, decreasing so rapidly, you're looking at, yes, it's a very young team, but the 76ers, they could be pushing for that 7th, 8th spot.
There's going to be a lot of teams in that 6 to 8, because I reckon we got a top 5, but I reckon that 6 to 8 is going to be congested this year it was as
this
well.
Year it came down to one of the final games. So
exactly.
With Miami just missing out probably on the last second day of the season. So
I see the 76ers being one of those teams. But the most important thing I think is for Simmons, Embiid, and even Fultz even getting injured in the summer league. If all those guys can stay fit, they're going to be a huge force. Like they're going this season, they could go.
On that note,
beyond.
The only bloke that if he gets injured is Embiid, falls out. You've got people to replace everybody else. JJ Redick will be a loss if he gets injured. But the rest of them, there's replacements on the backside. Like McConnell, he was playing great basketball.
Towards the end of last year,
I'd be surprised if he wasn't in the starting lineup.
Yeah, if you have a look...
He could be,
even Amir Johnson isn't that bad over Saric. You've got blokes that could play 24 minutes each side.
It's completely how the pre-season goes, really. I reckon they'll work out.
It's a good-looking team. It looks like they'll be a force in the
solid
years
first
if they
and
can keep
second
everyone
unit.
up.
I think everyone really is keen to see him do well now. With the trust the process, social media thing going, and Embiid's in particular, his social media.
His game's better off the court than it is on the court.
Yeah, and his game's pretty impressive on the court. That's what the surprising thing is. But so I think his display picture on Twitter at the moment, it's a comparison between Michael Jordan and TJ McConnell celebrating a game winner. It's just, it's
That's
ridiculous.
going.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't forget also the Aussie Bolden getting picked up in the draft this year, pick 36.
Yeah, I think he may
shipped
shipped him off. I think he's gone to Tel Aviv in the EuroLeague. So
they've still got him though.
Draft rights,
They've still got his draft rights, but it's good to see him get picked up by the 76ers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what they did with Saric a few years ago.
Yeah, well, they really did build this team through draft picks, didn't they? And
Brett Brown's done a great job though.
I think he definitely taught him the fundamentals, and he had the backing though from the GM and the owners. It's okay to lose these games. Teach these players the right way to play. The results and the plays will come soon.
Yeah, the players are trusting the process.
Oh, that's an excellent way to put it. But a team where there's absolutely no process for a while has been the Brooklyn Nets, and it all went when they traded all those first round picks for Jason Terry, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce.
That was one of the worst trades.
And in hindsight, it was always going to be that if they didn't win a title or get to a finals, it was going to be a massive disappointment. And they've really struggled since. And Brook Lopez now gone to the Lakers. And really the one upside for Brooklyn at the moment is they do have D'Angelo Russell, to be able to nab him. Okay, they did take on Mozgov's enormous contract, which was pretty ludicrous at the time to give him. But finally they've got a talent that is worthy of a lottery pick, and he's someone they can go forward with. So last year they had Jeremy Lin running the point, and we all remember Linsanity and all that. But D'Angelo Russell could be there for another 10, 15 years and potentially play all-star level. So
be the franchise player for them.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still not much around them, is it? Sean Kilpatrick, Trevor Brooker. So they're really a team. It's just randoms around the league. What they can find, and
it's kind of like the Phoenix Suns, like in a few 10-day contracts and things like that this year.
Yeah. They did add DeMar Carroll, who might add a bit of defense and a bit of veteran leadership, which will go all right. And they did get a draft pick in as well, which was good. And they got Jared Allen for pick 22 from the Wizards for their deal for Bogdanovich last season midway through. So that's another young talent that hopefully, just because they're at pick 22, they can still become a gun. Look at Kawhi Leonard. Look at Paul George, who was late in the draft. Jimmy Butler at pick 29. So these things can still go all right. However, they might finish last this year in the Eastern Conference, and they've still got to give up their pick again to the Celtics. And then finally that debt will be paid. Yeah, so Brooklyn owing the Celtics their next draft pick. It's just another year of nowhere for them.
Yeah, I think with the 76ers coming up, this could be a better division this year. So
I don't mind the Nets, to be honest. Like, they've lost Lopez. I think what D. Russ will be able to do by himself is interesting. As a Lakers fan, seeing what he could do when at the end of the season, I think he dropped 40 points one game against Kyrie.
Yeah.
And that was outstanding. If he's the focal point here, nothing else going on.
He's got
Mozgov at the end of the floor, who is an amazing defender. Got no offense, but an amazing defender.
Yeah.
We'll see what
He's got so much potential.
He has a lot of potential. The other thing is that if he thinks that Brooklyn's just going to be crap for a long time,
he might want to leave.
he might want to leave.
Yeah.
He definitely needs to show the right sort of attitude in this tough
and
situation.
some leadership as a young guy as well. Prove that he's the guy to build around.
Yeah. He may have learnt that after dogging his mate back at
Oh,
LA over the years earlier.
Nick Young. Yep.
Yeah, probably for the best for Nick Young, but
Well, they got
it probably taught him a bit of leadership and grew him as a character and showed him how to be a team player.
Hopefully he can grow up a bit playing in Brooklyn, leading a team. Because that's going to be his team. If he wants to stay there, he can make that his team and he can build them up.
He's got a year to become an all-star and then another year to prove players that people should play with him.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what he wants to do. He's got 2 years to prove to the league that people should play with him.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
It's going to be an interesting division to watch because you're going to have two teams that could win about 15 games, and the other three could go, almost 50. So.
The other side of this is it's not just about D. Russ wanting to bring players in. His contract's up pretty soon.
Yeah.
So Brooklyn has to prove to him that they're going to build something around him as well.
And the last thing Brooklyn will want is matching his deal off the rookie sheet and then have Russell have absolutely no interest in staying because that just causes absolute mayhem.
Yeah.
And so Brooklyn, they got in Shaw Marks as their GM. He has a bit of a Spurs background, so they're really trying to take the right steps going forward.
All right, we'll move on from the Atlantic Division. We'll move on to the Southeast, and we'll start with the Washington Wizards, who won the Southeast Division. They finished fourth in the Eastern Conference with a record of 49 and 33, 8 games up on last year. They split the season last year. This season they had an outstanding home record, 30 and 11, and it's just being able to play away, playing in front of those away crowds. If they can do that, get a few wins on the positive in the away games, and I reckon they'd be right up there.
They've definitely had my favourite playoff series of the playoffs. Really, only
The
one.
Boston-Washington series, that was a great series.
Well.
Yeah,
Kids clutch.
in that game 6, he was unbelievable, and it was really that one and the Utah and LA Clippers series. Those are the two real standouts for mine. And you see Boston and Washington. There wasn't that much splitting them, was it? When it came down to it at times.
It really wasn't.
So it'll be interesting to see if
Unfortunately for Washington, Boston have got a lot better.
Yeah, they've definitely taken 2 or 3 steps forward now with Hayward and Tatum coming in. Can Wizards match it?
With the likes of, obviously, the backcourt, we all know Wall and Beal, Porter Jr., who they matched the offer for.
Did you get Max?
Yeah,
And 4 years, 100 million or something.
And there was some absolutely outrageous terms in that offer sheet. It was about apparently 50% of the
50% at the start of the season.
of the salary up front before middle of October, and
That's crazy.
yeah. So I bet Otto Potter is really loving it.
He will be this season, definitely. And they've also got their mainstay at centre, who played all 82 games last year, Marcin Gortat. Had a pretty decent season. 10 rebounds.
Well, I remember Gortat actually a few years ago got signed by Mavs, but then Magic matched the deal, and stayed with the Orlando Magic. So Mavs went out and traded for Tyson Chandler, and then a year later were champions. So it's funny how
Yeah.
Gortat and Chandler's career's gone differently.
I think with the Wizards, a lot of it. Beal had a real breakout season last year. Averaged 23 points, shot 40% from three, and you're asking he needs to back that up.
It was
If they're going to
yeah.
be
It was-
if they're going to be anything, to challenge the Celtics and the Cavs and all them, Beal really needs to make sure that consistency stays in his game.
He was definitely one of my favourite fantasy picks a couple of seasons ago, but he just missed too many games. Whereas this year he started to fix it a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, if Beal can, play 80, 82 games and, play 35 minutes a night and go with Wall, maybe they can win more than the 49 they got this year.
A few pickups they've had over the break. They got Mike Scott from Atlanta, backup power forward on a 1-year deal. Jody Meeks, veteran shooting guard from the Orlando Magic, who's not too bad. And
Yeah, he did have a bit of time at Lakers, didn't he, Nick?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, okay.
That was it. Pretty terrible.
and also they got, before the draft, they got Tim Frazier as well
They're
from
handy backup.
New Orleans. Who's,
One of my favourite parts of last season's fantasy was Jake picked up Tim Frazier in, I don't know, September or something, or just after we did the draft, and I'm looking at who is this clown? And then he went all right, didn't he?
Oh, he was averaging 10 assists for a long time there. It does help when you have Anthony Davis there as well, but I reckon, I don't know if he'll have the same season he did when he was filling in for Holiday the other year, but I reckon as a backup to Wall, it's not a bad pickup. A team that I think has, with a couple of losses, I don't think might go as well this year is the Hawks.
Is it a couple of losses because they're tanking, or
Yeah, I just don't think they're going to be up to it this year. The Hawks. I don't see much with them.
well, basically every starter from their 60-win season's now gone.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won 43 last year, and I think 43 is a bit of a pipe dream with no Millsap, no Dwight Howard. You've got Dennis Schroeder, who was a great fantasy pick for the guy that was 12 games in a row, I think he won. That was me. But
Coming in saying, I don't know what it is about basketball.
yeah, well, it's true. Anyway, so their starting five will probably be Schroeder, Bazemore, Bellinelli, came across from Charlotte. Does he start? Yeah, he's a veteran. They've got Prince as a backup who, is a young guy, so maybe they'll just give minutes to him because they seem to be in a rebuilding phase at the moment.
Use Bellinelli as a sixth man, maybe.
Yeah. Ilyasova, who was, who's...
Yeah, he was good at
bit of a-
Philly. Yeah,
He was, yeah.
He
was
came back. He
solid.
went back to the Hawks though.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
moving around everywhere. And
Cute.
then they've got Deadman from the Spurs, who's a handy pickup. But honestly, I think Hawks, they'll struggle to make playoffs. I think
Yeah.
they'll be in that late 30s range, maybe early
If that.
40s.
If that, yeah. They would need
At
Schroeder
their-
to have a
at
very
their
good year.
best.
Yeah.
He went up last season. What did he average? He averaged 18 points and 6 assists. So,
I think Atlanta are going to be one of those teams where if they start hot early, they'll continue it. But if they get behind the 8 ball, I think the franchise will put it in park for the rest of the season and try and lose as many games as possible.
Because not a lot of young guys on that team.
Schroeder is an exciting player.
He
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
He's
and-
on the improve. Definitely on the improve from a
and-
couple of seasons ago.
And how, one guy can take you a long way. Look at Westbrook at OKC. Now, obviously, Schroeder's not at Westbrook's level.
he's
but-
playing in the right position to,
Yeah.
to really sort of take control of the team. Like, he can make this into his team this season, even if they don't go so well, even if they start tanking.
Mm.
He's young enough, and he's playing in the right position to obviously be the leader and take
And
charge.
with the potential with no more decent point guards out in the East, he could become an Eastern All-Star if he
Yeah,
has,
that's true.
a
Yeah.
decent season. So there's that
Kyle
opportunity.
Lowry,
as well.
Isaiah Thomas, John Wall. They're a few half decent point
They're
guards
hard.
in
They're a
the,
couple hard.
East,
They're a
mate.
couple hard. They're not wrong, but I think there's not as many, obviously. And
No, the East isn't a very strong division anyway. I think everyone will know that. So
Yeah.
Well, you've got
yeah.
you've got Goran Dragic at the Heat, who's a decent point guard as well, and he's not someone that's to be taken lightly.
That's seamless.
I tell you what, Miami Heat bloody excite me. They started the season last year 11-31. They ended at 31-11, and I would say that with Dragic and Whiteside, they only won 11 games. Waiters was in that team, but in that second half of the season, Waiters became a man, and he stepped up and he showed the competition what he can do. We have heard it over and over from one of our Heat supporter mates that Waiters could potentially be an All-Star next year because he played outstanding the last half of this season.
If he shoots the way he did towards the end of last year.
I'd say I was surprised at the start of last season when Waiters, you consider some of the contracts some players were getting, like Alan Crabb at Portland got 18 mil, and then Waiters was signed 1 year, 2.7 million, or the exception that he got. And I always thought he was going to outplay that contract on determination alone, and he did miss a lot of games through injury, unfortunately, for the Heat. But
he played 43 last year.
Yeah, but he definitely showed he's definitely, if fit, worth.
He was a big part of that 31-11.
And adding Olynyk now, you'd think a bit of a step up on James Johnson. If the Heat are going to do anything, potentially top 4 this year, Olynyk has to be somebody that really pushes.
I think that's a good pickup because Olynyk can be a good passing big man as well. He did that well last year at the Celtics. Can shoot the 3 ball. I think he's got a good range. He's got a good game.
Won him a game 7.
Won him a game 7.
Yeah, won him a game 7.
Yeah,
so yeah.
You can't say many people do that. But yeah, I think all in all, I think Olynyk's been a decent pickup for the Heat to improve on last year's season of 41-41.
Yep, and I think their backline, their second unit's pretty good. Don't mind Tyler Johnson. He's an improving young man and
put up some good numbers last year.
Yeah, exactly. James Johnson as well is not too bad. He was their starting power forward last year, and he should still get a few more minutes this year, helping out Whiteside. Whiteside's an amazing player. I love him. He's just going to get better and better as the career goes on.
I'm excited by their draft pick as well. Adebayo, a pick 14.
He's looked really good in the summer league.
Yeah,
he looks very good.
Yeah, so I think he might go alright. But with Spoelstra there, he's a very good coach, and he really does seem to get the best out of his players. But whether it is LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh at that time, and now he's got a bit of a rebuild on and or retooling, and he does get the best out of some of those guys like Johnson, Richardson, James Johnson, and Waiters.
Completely agree. Yeah.
Now, a team that's not always got the best out of their players, but finally went a bit backwards last year with Batum even still there, was the Hornets.
Yeah, well, they were on the negative this year. They finished 36-46, 12 games down on last year, which is more than I actually thought. They were 48-34, finished fourth in the Southeast and the 11th in the conference. They've obviously brought in Dwight Howard as their starting centre. One of the first things that happened in...
Yeah, it was a trade, yeah.
They needed a centre.
The first thing that happened pretty much this off-season with Bellinelli and I think...
It wasn't much going the other way.
Plumlee, I think it was. Miles Plumlee going the other way to Atlanta.
Yeah, Kemba Walker at point guards is an exciting... He's one of these mid-range point guards that might have a bit more to him this year, and if he does show enough, they could really go forward. And the Carter Williams pick excites me as well. I mean, he can't shoot, but he can see the game well, and I think there is a little bit more to him than what he showed at the Bulls.
It's a big year for him, I think, because he's been shuffled around a lot early on in his career.
Yep.
And I think this is the season for him to really break out. Because if he doesn't do that, he's only on a 1-year deal, and if he's not up to scratch, you won't see him.
He might find himself out of the league.
Yeah, correct. You might see him in
Might be
G
playing
League
China.
or China or Spain or something like that. Another guy I'm excited by, but didn't play in the summer league, was their pick 11 in the draft this year, Malik Monk. I think if he's fit and ready to go, I think he'll
drain buckets.
He'll start and he will drain buckets. I think he was picked as the best shooter in the draft. This season. So I think with Walker being able to feed and Batum and all that, I think he's going to be a very good player. And if he can shoot well this season, I think he'll also be up there for Rookie of the Year if he can stay fit.
They also have one of my favourite names in the NBA at the moment, Dwayne Bacon. I mean, what a name!
Yeah,
it's a solid second unit. Like in terms of that depth they've got in each position, it's better than a lot of the teams in the Eastern Conference, so it'll be interesting to see how they go.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Actually, it's kind of like the 76ers before. They've got two solid units. It's whether they can find that chemistry between both units.
Well, Kaminsky was a lottery pick, and can shoot a little bit. Can he show a bit more? Kid Gilchrist at pick 3 or pick 2 back in the day. He's
Has he done enough to be worthy?
yeah,
of
well, he
pick
missed
3 yet?
Yeah, he missed a lot of last year with his shoulder.
Mm.
I think it was a shoulder injury. Yeah, but he's always been known as a defensive stud. But does he have enough in his game? But if you surround Kid Gilchrist with Batum and Monk and Walker, you can and Howard, you can hide him defensively. So
Yeah, exactly right.
well, offensively hide him. Yeah,
He's kind of like your Roberson from
he's
OKC.
he's that good
You
size.
can shoot your odd 3 and then play really good D.
Well, yeah.
Very odd.
I mean,
Very odd.
I've seen better shooting at the local basketball courts than what I see from Robertson in the NBA.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Not on your behalf, though. You don't watch anything.
I don't know. I think I'll take my 3s over Robertson's.
No.
Moving on, we'll move on to the last team in the Southeast Division, which is the Orlando Magic.
The Magic are interesting team.
Interesting because they're rubbish.
I don't think they're that rubbish. They 29 and 35 last year, but they've got a lot of young kids.
53.
53.
53, sorry. Yes, I am. Maybe, I don't know. I've got to get tested. So with their team, they brought in John Simmons. Their starting point guard is Payton. Their small forward, Fournier, Aaron Gordon, Vucevic at the centre. With Biyombo, they were practically playing 24 minutes each a game at last season, which they brought in Biyombo last season. They haven't given the team as much as they thought he would.
Biyombo was one of those free agencies at the time that was honestly one of the most ridiculous contracts going around. You look at it now.
Yeah.
To pay that guy $18 million when they already had Vucevic there,
It just
really,
seems... Yeah.
it really does, it really defies belief what some of these GMs are doing. And the Magic GM did get the sack after last season after the Ibaka, trading for Ibaka and then still adding Biyombo at $18 million a year. So,
Well, what's the new guy doing adding Spates then?
yeah, that was a veteran guy. You thought he would have maybe looked to go to a contender on
I would have
zero
said,
money.
yeah. It just seems like a strange pick to me. Like,
They might be looking at moving Gordon to the small forward, putting Vucevic to the power forward and Biyombo at the centre.
Potentially.
Vucevic is a hell of an offensive unit.
yeah,
If he can get the ball in his hands, he can shoot.
He's hit a few game winners in his time.
He's a little bit of a favourite player of mine because I like watching what he does.
Do you like watching him for his fantasy output as well? Because you've
That's the
had
only
him.
reason why I know who he is, mate. Outside of that, though, Aaron Gordon is a bloke who needs to take Blake Griffin steps. He's a Blake Griffin mold.
Yeah.
He's Duncan King, similar to Blake Griffin was. He needs to start taking Blake Griffin steps and stop being a personality off the court and start being a baller on the court. Because he's got all the potential. He just needs to put it in place.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that, actually, yeah.
Like they've got a good grounding here to build something. They've got Terrence Ross as well, who's a half decent small forward, come from the Raptors. DJ Augustine's all right. It's not a bad second unit.
So will we say with the Magic they're going to be around the 29 wins again?
I would say above the Knicks and above the Nets, then that would be about it.
If Gordon can make advances and potentially they move Vucevic to the power forward and Biyombo to the centre, maybe play 30 minutes each and use Spates as that backup 18, 16 minutes after that, I think they could get high 30s.
It's a lot of ifs. I mean,
It is a lot of ifs.
And I mean, Simmons, obviously.
Simmons is a big addition for the
so,
defensive end.
I mean, they've got some shooting. They've got Peyton's a good sort of all-round player.
What I am interested with about Jonathan Simmons is we really did see him excel in a role at Spurs, but can he carry that over with a little bit more expectation?
Is this just money?
Yeah, I mean, I initially thought it would be, but then it was only 3 years, 20 million, and I was surprised.
I guess that's
it was
not
that
too
little.
much, yeah.
I was surprised it was that little.
But what would the Spurs be offering?
Yeah, they kind of went in.
million, 2
Yeah,
million,
they
something
kind of
like
went in a different direction in the end, and that's why they released him. So, but for a guy that paid to try out in the D League, it's really good to see him flying at the moment.
It is going to be interesting though if he's not just a pop player that just fit into Pop's fundamentals and
Yeah.
see if he can do anything outside of that.
It's an interesting team. I guess whether that's what they need like each player is playing their role, whether that all gels together. I know for that chemistry will be there for the Magic this year.
I think they're an interesting team. I'll be
Yeah.
watching them a little bit. A lot
Yeah.
closer than a few other teams.
They're going to be exciting, I think.
Yeah.
I'll pick
It's-
Vucevic in fantasy.
There's a lot of potential there, I think.
You have to get in before Nick does.
Yeah, that's second round pick. Love a bit of Vucevic.
Yeah, well, we'll fight.
Another team
Yeah.
people
Well-
are fighting about at the club themselves are the Cavs.
Yeah, and that would move us into the Central Division.
Probably, I'd say the most successful division out of last year.
Now,
Maybe.
with the Cavs, they only won the 51 games last year, but they went basically win-loss for the second half of the season. They really took it easy, and then people were like, oh, could they bring it in the playoffs? Will they lose to the Celtics? Well, they absolutely hadn't covered when it mattered. And it was only because of how good Golden State are that they went down in 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we go any further, in the East last year, the team that made the finals only had 51 wins in the East.
Yeah.
Like, it shows the quality difference. The Warriors are having 70 wins or 60 odd wins in the better conference, in a much better conference, and the Cavs, who are the team that's trying to rival with them, can barely reach 50.
Well, LeBron and co, they kind of knew that they had everyone covered and in the East, and so once they knew they couldn't get Golden State's home advantage, I think they kind of put the cue in the rack and said we'll work it out during the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now the big discussion really at the moment is this Kyrie Irving situation. Now it sounds like they're blaming LeBron James' camp for leaking the information, which is it's getting ugly. Yeah, it's getting ugly. So we've seen it before. Stars demand a trade and then it not happening, and I'm doubtful that a deal will still get done because it is Kyrie Irving.
I think he'll still stay.
Oh, I think he will.
I don't think he'll have a choice.
I don't think he'll have a choice, and I don't think anyone will be able to give up enough that the Cavs want.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of friction there if he stays, though.
Has damage been done? Because LeBron wouldn't be happy with it.
The other thing I would say in LeBron's defense is once he gets on the court, he's switched on. So he won't let that impact his performances. Now, they signed Derrick Rose today, which is, you'd hope he's not their starting point guard for next season, but we'll see what happens with that one. And they also signed Jeff Green on a minimum deal and Jose Calderon. But this Jeff Green deal is an interesting one because he's always been one of these players. He went to the Clippers a couple seasons ago, and he's got that good size at small forward. He should improve.
Can stretch to the 4 if you need.
So he was at the Magic last year, which was never really a good fit for him. And but I think in the Cavs system and with LeBron, and it will sort of enable them to play more minutes with more longer guys and have Love on the bench more come playoffs. I think it'll be a good move for him.
See if he plays better under Tyronn Lue, offense and defense.
I think Jose Calderon at this stage of his career is pretty much finished. So it'll be interesting.
Just that pure role player.
Yeah, I think a bit of veteran leadership, maybe a bit of veteran shooting. He can still spot up and shoot.
James Jones on the end of the bench.
Yeah, well, James Jones is now VP of basketball at Phoenix, I think.
Yeah.
So LeBron will have to play without him for the first time in, 10 years? 8
So
years?
no finals then.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And Korver staying, so
He signed this year.
that will help them out big time. So, but they're going to be another team with 10, 11 deep going into next season. But, the 7, 8 that they rely a lot of minutes on, just not as good as Golden State's. And
You see them trying to start off well, match Golden State, and doing the same thing they did this year.
It's
just fade away.
I mean,
I don't think Golden State are their biggest rivals this year. I think it's the Celtics.
I think it's a little bit.
point.
I think it's a little bit unfair on the Cavs that they're always, especially last year, they were always trying held to account to the Golden State Warriors, and that's such a hard taskmaster to sort of live up to.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're unlucky in a way, and I feel for LeBron in that respect that he has to go up against one of the greatest teams of all time.
I think, unfortunately, again, they're going to be kept to that standard, even when they should be kept to a standard of the Celtics, and the standard of the Celtics won't be kept to the Warriors, which they should be. The Celtics are going to be compared against the Cavs,
yeah.
and the Cavs are going to be compared against the Warriors, when that is unfair on the Cavs, because the Celtics are a better team. They've recruited much better. They've put a base behind them.
Yeah.
And the Celtics could easily have 60 wins this season if they gel as a team.
Oh, no, yeah, no
Easily.
doubt about that.
Well,
Because this is an easy division. And if Kyrie leaves,
Well, the
It's
thing,
over.
the thing,
Yeah, division.
the thing about the Cavs was when LeBron went back, they sort of had to put it together. They had to put it together very quickly. They had to trade a couple of picks to Minnesota to get in Kevin Love and Anthony Bennett as a number one pick. If he had stayed, he didn't really work out, and all of a sudden you got trapped into signing some blokes and trading your picks away to get in role players who could shoot threes, and but they won their title, and credit to them.
LeBron got his ring in at the Cavs and got it for Cleveland. I think that's all that really matters. I was surprised that he stayed another season. I'm surprised that he's there this season. I think he did what he needed to do for Cleveland, and even though it's his hometown, he's done what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now,
So-
now he can chase championships.
So
and build a team.
12 months down the track, are you thinking LeBron Lakers?
I don't want to talk about LeBron Lakers because I think it's just hearsay by Lakers fans and the media because everyone loves pumping up the Lakers. I'd prefer to see other stuff happen.
It's funny though because Cavs are always going to be one of the most disliked teams going around because of LeBron and because of the sort of money they're paying. And you compare it to the Bucks, who are probably one of everyone's favorite teams. I think it's purely down to Giannis.
Giannis.
Or would
Yeah,
you?
There is one man and one man only for this team, and that is
Don
Matthew
Maker?
Dellavedova. Don Maker. Well, Maker's not too far off either. Maker's doing nicely for my 2K team. Smashing news for Alec.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee Bucks last year, 42-40. The previous they made a big improvement over the previous season, probably due to Giannis and a little bit of Delhi, probably. Their year looked good. They look like a team that could move into the future. They've got a really good starting lineup. Brogdon's coming into his own. I think I have a little bit of preference towards Delhi, but I think they should be playing 24 minutes each, splitting them because Brogdon is a purely offensive unit.
Is it also because you're biased towards Della?
I would be biased towards Delhi,
But I would say Delhi's defense is better than Brogdon.
I mean, they want.
you saw it during the playoffs. They
Yeah.
took Brogdon off,
Delhi's D is
and-
much better than
and
Brogdon's.
that's exactly right.
Yeah. It depends on what type of game's being played at that time.
They did win a lot of games last year, 42, with Middleton only playing the 29, and he's going back. He's one of those guys.
He's a big
6'8". He's a big in for them this year, and so there's really no reason why they can't go 47, 48, 49, 50 wins. Maybe get through the playoffs first round against. If they come up against Toronto again.
Yeah, if Brogdon can keep pushing as a kid as well,
And
he was the rookie of the year and just keeps getting more points. What did he average last season? He had 10 points a game, and it probably started pretty poorly because he's a rookie. So most of those points would have been later in the season, and he really showed what he could do. With Middleton, he's a 3-point specialist. You got Giannis just being the freak that he is.
Does
that
all five.
controls that team exactly.
Does all five.
He can play point guard to center, whatever the team needs at the time. And Maker's going to get a year better. Parker's just going to get a year better. Again, around that Blake mold, dunking and trying to push a few threes and start getting that
I think he's
game.
further along than Gordon in that Blake Mold type.
100%. He's Parker's starting to push that top echelon of power
forwards.
forwards. And another part of this team is their back end. I was talking about Delhi before. It's a great defensive unit. He can even be offensive if he needs to. But his passing, court vision, fantastic. You got Snell, you got Teletovic, and Monroe on the second unit. It's a hell of a second unit.
That's a hell of a backup centre, though.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's been known to post double games as a backup as
Especially
well.
to teach Maker. Maker's a kid who, in the second half of the season, started getting games and minutes. He started to perform at an elite level. And I think Monroe's going to help him do that. Monroe's going to have to be a veteran to him and lose his minutes for Maker to get better and really be that role. But this team could easily get 50 wins if they can all stay healthy.
I think they might steal that fourth spot, I
Yeah.
reckon.
Yeah.
And Giannis is going to be in that those MVP contention this year. 100%. He
No
improved
doubt.
again
Yeah.
last year. If he's not in those top, if he's not in the top 3, he'll be in the top 5.
So
Yeah.
Talks.
they're
100%.
definitely on the way up. However, a team that's definitely on the way down, with Paul George leaving, is the Indiana Pacers. Dem, how do you sort of see
Well,
their
Deb
season?
have anything good to say about the Pacers because they lost Paul George to his own team.
Well, it was a steady decline over the last year for the Pacers. They dropped 3 wins to get to 42 wins last year. And this year, I can't see them making it. Well, maybe they'll push that 8th spot. It's a real
It's a real logjam in that last few spots. I think it's going to be.
I mean, Oladipo will be okay for him, and Sabonis
He needs to have a better
They'll
year
be
than
okay.
last year.
Yeah, they'll
But
be okay.
they've lost Teague, Miles, and George.
Yeah.
You know, Miles was shooting their best 3-point shooter, obviously. And they've left Teague. So they got Collison from the Kings. Was it the Kings?
Yeah.
So Collison, Oladipo.
He's back at the Pacers for his second stint, though.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
I think they've done well to bring Joseph in as their backup point guard. It means they've got someone on the bench, an option to take that point guard spot. They got Oladipo as part of the George deal, obviously. Bogdanovic, who's, he was at Brooklyn and Washington.
Bit of a
last
3-point
year.
specialist from the
He can
Washington
shoot-
Wizards.
He can shoot threes, yeah. Then Thad Young and Miles Turner. So Turner's the real star, like the future Jet. Well, he's the current Jet, but he's the
Yeah,
future of this franchise if he wants to
He
stay
had a massive
around.
year last year. He was huge.
Yeah, and they brought in. So I guess they're good, solid foot soldiers.
Yeah.
Like they're okay players. I guess you can Turner to the side because Turner's got a lot of potential, but the rest of them are just good run of the mill players, very hot and cold. Oladipo's good, but
Does this allow Oladipo to become the man? Does this,
If
without having Westbrook, does he get more of the ball? Does he get that ball enough to become that number one shooter?
potentially
He needs to step up if they want
he
to.
needs to if he's got it in him.
Yeah,
If
Well,
he's got that,
he's shown glimpses of it before, and
Yeah.
he's not going to have this team because he's got Thad Young there and Miles Turner. But if he can really become a half decent shooting guard, this team might not be half bad.
yeah. So if everyone plays their role and does what they've done previously, like but Bogdanovic can shoot the threes well, and Turner just does what Turner does. He'll block, he'll shoot threes from outside, he'll do all that stuff. Young's really sort of aggressive in the post, and then they've got Joseph and Sabonis coming off the bench. And those are two. Joseph did a good job behind Lowry at Toronto. Sabonis has been solid. He was solid in his first season.
He was playing
Okay,
starting
so-
minutes for OKC, so he's got to be
Yeah.
a decent player to be able to, for a playoff team to be starting for a
But-
playoff team. So
Yeah, but overall, they need a lot to go right for them to be a good team. I think mid-30s.
They're losing wins for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're losing an all-star.
Yeah.
They're losing one of the best players in the league. If they get mid-30s, you'd be happy. It
I
depends-
see them clearly under 500. Clearly,
It depends
under 500.
what their youths do.
Yeah.
But you don't really see them.
Yeah.
If they get 30, it's definitely a loss for the season for the Pacers, but that's about where they should be.
So all
Yeah.
the grains probably about mid-30s.
Yeah.
Mid-30s for the Pacers, I reckon.
And Nick, you
Yeah.
definitely do bring up that they lost an all-star and someone like Paul George, and you can probably say similar things about the Bulls with Jimmy Butler. They're another team that's sort of on the way down now with Rondo being bought out, who was, he was okay for them at times. Came good towards the end of the season, and they were 2 up against the Celtics in that playoff series. But Butler going out with it changes the whole dynamic of the franchise. I think you got Fred Hoiberg as coach, who was brought in to play a specific brand of basketball, and at the moment you can't say it's really going too well. They've lost Butler, who was putting up almost 24 a game last year, so it's going to be hard to replace that. They did add in Laurie Marroquin, who's a stretch 4 off the draft pick at pick 7, so that will be interesting to see how he goes. But I think everyone would sort of say the similar things around here, that they're going to be mid-30s at best, you would imagine. I think
At best.
if they go poorly, it would be hard to see them not buying out Dwayne Wade's contract so he can go wherever he wants to play.
Maybe Wade could be a mid-season trade.
Yeah, well-
he might be so unhappy there.
Yeah, I think because this is the last year of his contract, so they won't even bother trading him. They'll just release him, pay out his contract, and just say go to Cleveland with LeBron or go back to South Beach and do what you want.
I feel bad for him a little bit. He's gone there. There was a bit of potential there. They just had a really bad season. Butler's gone now, and
Now he's stuck.
he's stuck there. And just
Well, he did choose to take the money, so he could have opted out of that $20 million. Well, that's it. It's easier to say it than do it.
It's easier to
It's
say that
much
now,
easier
but
to say it than do it.
I'd be
But
surprised if he's there.
I'd be surprised if he's there at All-Star break.
Yeah, I agree. But with their GM Foreman and Paxson, the vice president of basketball operations of the Bulls, getting rid of Thibodeau, bringing in Hoiberg to replace him. Now they've lost their best player to Thibodeau. It's a bit ironic, really. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are going up, Bulls are going down, and I've got them for 28, 29 wins.
Sounds about right.
Massive drop,
Yeah.
How many of those wins are just off Dwayne Wade's back in the start of the season?
Oh,
Is there anything else around him?
look, there's not much going forward this year. However, Bobby Portis got a little bit of upside.
Felicio, is he still there?
Yeah, and Denzel Valentine, their draft pick from the
He
year
did
before.
nothing last
Yeah,
year.
There's no game winners.
Cameron Payne, who struggled during summer.
The only thing he's known for is dancing with Westbrook. at the
Yeah,
start of
that's
games.
true. So it's going to be an interesting one. They've really traded away their potential. Yeah,
I think they're going to be in the rebuild now. I think they'll get rid of Wade halfway through the year and they'll move on. I think.
I think another team that will they'll go a little bit better than the Bulls will be Detroit.
Yeah, like imagine last year being the worst team in this, division and having 37 wins. That it's stiff for them to be caught up in this, but I think they'll fare better than definitely the Bulls, probably the Pacers. I mean, they've lost.
Probably see them on about par with the Pacers. I think.
Yeah, I mean they lost Morrison, Caldwell. Was it Caldwell player? Yeah,
Caldwell
player.
Pope to a better team.
Yeah.
Are you saying that because he went to the Lakers?
I am saying that because he went to the Lakers.
So they've got, I guess Stanley Johnson starts for them, and last year he started one game, averaged 18 minutes per game. He's a young player. He's going to have to really step up this year. They got Luke Kennard, who, I know you were saying before Malik Monk might have been the best shooter. I think Kennard might be the best shooter from last year's crop. So, they've got one there. Avery Bradley, I think he might be playing a bit of small forward. I mean, he can do it. He's a good defender, obviously.
Is he going to be another pick of yours this year?
No. No, but I mean, if they can get some minutes into Kennard, I think he can really shoot. If he can get in some fine form, then they'll put some points on the board. They've got, last year, Tobias Harris was their best point scorer on average, which says it all, really. I mean, they got 37 wins with that being the case. I thought Drummond dropped off a bit last year.
Drummond 100% dropped off. Having in fantasy, he was no good. He was injured a little bit as well.
Yeah.
He couldn't put points on the board, and he even struggled to rebound. To be honest, I think he dropped off 2 or 3 rebounds a game.
I think Langston Galloway at the shooting guard won't be too bad. I think he's a little bit better than what his stats are. So it'll be interesting how he might go in a bigger role.
Yeah. I mean, and Jackson and Ish Smith, I know you had Smith in fantasy for a bit there.
Kind of like my Tim Frazier pickup a little bit.
Yeah,
well, he was a Tim Frazier for you the year before.
Year before that, yeah.
And then you dropped him, and then he got traded on Christmas Day, and I picked him up.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Merry Christmas to me.
They've got these players. I think Drummond's their best player. He needs to step it back up this year and not get fouled out.
But seriously, I woke up... But seriously, I woke up that Christmas Day. Santa didn't give me anything. So I was just scrolling through Twitter and I saw Ish Smith got traded. And I went and picked him up straight away. That was my favourite.
That's a fascinating story,
yeah,
Sprout. Let's get back to basketball.
Yeah, I think Avery Bradley, this will be his team. Like, this is giving him an opportunity to, he really stood up last year as the second man at the Celtics. And now, him and Drummond will be the big guy. But Bradley to be the shooting guard or small forward wherever he plays.
It's also a big year for Jackson to step up, I think.
How old is he?
He's been
26.
He's been a very good point guard in previous years, and I think last year he was injured a bit.
Reggie was very injured,
and Ish had those minutes. But if he can stay fit, that's him and Bradley and Drummond. That's a good three. That's a really good three in the starting lineup.
That's why I think that you're looking at potentially around the same, that mid-30s. I think they're better than the Pacers. The Pacers need their stuff to go right, especially with the fact they've got a lot of new players in the Pacers. So Pistons, it's a fairly settled team. I know they got rid of a couple of those players and they brought in Bradley, but
there's more potential for this starting lineup to work over the Pacers, I think.
Yeah.
They have lost Aaron Baines, which is a huge loss for Australians everywhere, and probably for the...
But they got the big 7-foot giant, Marjanovic.
Yeah.
Bobby.
They might get 20 minutes now.
Exactly.
Now they remember
You
Baines.
never give away Australian.
No. But yeah, so Pistons, they might finish third in the Central Division.
Yeah, that's not saying much, but they
No,
still could get 42 wins. Bradley's a pretty big addition.
And as we said, this is
They could make
much strongest division in the East.
It's weak enough. At one stage last year, we were looking at potentially the East having people in the playoffs with under 40 wins
Yeah.
at one stage. So it could happen.
No, I completely agree. Just to finish off, I think we're all in agreement that we think Boston.
Boston's number
Boston's
100%.
number one.
No chance of anything.
Do we see the Cavs staying number 2?
No.
Yes, because
Yes.
I think Kyrie will stay.
So Kyrie will stay. They'll stay
And-
2.
And even if Kyrie does go, they will get someone good for him. So it
Yeah.
might be Melo, who, Melo and LeBron in a season together. I think they'll still probably come second. I think what Melo's really good at is posting up plays, as long as he doesn't do it too much. And
Doesn't go over the top with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's spot up shooting, and that's something that he really does well for Team USA. And LeBron is someone that can really control him and make him focused and team orientated. So if they were to add Melo, I think they'll go just as well in the regular season. And then they've got the possibility of adding Dwayne Wade as a buyout.
Mid-season, yeah.
Potential.
Yeah. And I would be surprised if Dwayne Wade doesn't end up there. And, Derrick Rose, he still put up, 18 a game last year. So when he was...
He didn't have a terrible year.
Yeah, he's
People
just...
are putting him down a fair bit. He's
Yeah.
only getting $2 million or whatever as
Yeah,
well. But
I mean-
he's a handy player.
Yeah, he's just not the player he was, and I think that's...
Everyone expects him to be that MVP player
Yeah.
from
But-
years ago.
Yeah, he's shooting 18 a game.
Borderline MVP player.
It wasn't efficient enough, but, if he plays within the Cavs system and gets his field goal up towards 47-48%, I think the Cavs,
Number 2.
yeah.
After these top two, it's interesting.
I'm a little bit more higher on the Cavs than I think what most people are at the moment, I would say, though.
Yeah, I'd say from 3 to 5, you've got your Washingtons, you've got your Milwaukee, and you've got your Raptors. I think those 3 positions will be shuffled by those 3 teams.
Yeah.
And then 76 is just a little bit below.
Yeah, and then from,
He's still
but,
not
but
the
from
Depends.
6 to 8, I think
I
could
think
be
Bucks are
anyone.
a fairly clear third, almost. Like Wizards could push, but they haven't added anyone really. And
Yeah.
I think out of
The
those,
Raptors haven't done much
I think
either.
out of those 3, I think we wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors dropped off a little. I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And
Yeah,
if this-
Larry's the
DeRozan
older.
and Lowry
DeRozan's
aging.
the only bloke there.
And if the 76ers were to jump over the Raptors, I don't think anyone would be too shocked.
No, I could see Sixers maybe getting 5th, maybe 4th.
It's a
even.
lot. It's a lot to say. I mean,
It's a
I
lot
could
of
still
bits.
see them missing. Like in
Yeah.
terms of your, we're assuming
teams,
that those guys, because we know what
What
been
they can
spoke
do.
of with Simmons, Fultz, Embiid, all those guys, and we know what Reddy can do. Yeah, it's still, Fultz and Simmons. It's their first season. It's like they haven't played in the NBA before.
I do keep bringing it up though. It is a very weak East.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very weak East.
Well, that's the reason why.
It does make it exciting to see who's going
Yeah,
to
I
finish
guess-
the playoffs.
yeah.
So.
But I guess when you're reviewing a team and sort of thinking about how they'll go next year, you tend to think towards the positive side of the
You
ledger.
promote
So
what is.
so it's more to 110% rather than 90% or
Yeah.
85 or what. So
By saying the Sixers coming 5th or 4th, maybe, that's saying that Embiid's going to play 70 games.
because I think last year,
And Simmons
yeah.
is going to average close.
Simmons has to play.
That's one
enough.
player I'm
He's going to play
excited.
40, but it'd be nice to see Simmons play a lot of games. I don't think he's a key to them winning games.
I
Not
don't,
just yet.
I
He's
don't
first season.
see. Yeah, I don't
Same
see him
with
playing a
Fultz.
lot of games.
No, they'll be role players, but they're not going to be the people winning games. It's JJ Redick and it's Embiid.
If he can come off his best 4 years of
I-
his career,
Yeah.
JJ.
Yeah, I think if we did this podcast this time last year, I think the Hornets, they came off the 48 wins, they kept Batum, added a couple of other pieces, and people would have thought, oh, maybe they can go 52, 53, and it just shows, if you're a bit off, if something's not right, if people are down on form, you end up on 36.
Yeah.
So, it's,
I think Charlotte will be one of those teams that makes up the.
you reckon they'll go better than last year? Them and the Heat for 7 and 8.
I'd like to see.
I think
could
Charlotte's
see the
more
Heat
locked.
pushing in that little.
I'd like to see the
block.
Heat make it because they could cause a bit of trouble in the playoffs. I reckon
If Waiter stays fit, if Whiteside stays fit, they're definitely.
they caused a bit of trouble to the Cavs.
I think
this year,
Heat-
actually.
yeah,
When you end the season 31-11, that's a hell of a way to end the season.
I reckon a lot of teams are very lucky that they missed out.
I think the Heat are someone you always trying to include based on their coaching as well, and the franchise led by Pat Riley. You kind of always expect the best from them and be able to get the best out of players. So that's sort of why I'd sort of say have them in that discussion.
Well, I think we're done for the night. So thanks for listening, everyone. This has been Jake, Dem, Nick, and Anthony. Join us next time when we talk about the top 10 picks during the Summer League. Also, remember to follow us on SoundCloud, No Brains Just Ball, and also on Twitter at NBJB Pod.
Follow me on Twitter. Don't follow Dem.
Jesus.
All right, this has been No Brains Just Ball. Thanks for joining us.